Here it is Unpaved with Sean Salisbury, and we've got a lot going on today, and I'm excited about it. A lot of football happening, even though spring training's here, but with franchise tags and free agency around the corner, a lot of things are happening with contracts that are going to get signed, contracts that may get signed, and guys that want out. Player empowerment's made everybody want to get, well, they're not happy, they want to get traded. We'll find out uh, who gets patted on the back and says, no problem, we'll do whatever you want, player, anything you want. Joining me now, we also have Herman Edwards. In about 30 minutes, Herman Edwards, former NFL coach, former player in the NFL, obviously, coached in college football, ESPN analyst. Known Herm a long time. He'll come in and he'll give his insight about all this and the difference in when he played and what he's doing now and coaching, and does he like player empowerment. We'll get all that, but let's jump in with JB. Coach JB joins me as he does every single day here on Unpaved. And JB, this time of year, football never ends, and obviously with player empowerment, when some guy gets cut, another guy wants to get traded, and then we got franchise tags, and we got those who we thought were going to get franchise tag, big money out there. No surprises. We start there. JB, welcome in, brother. I almost think this time of year is far more chaotic than even the season because of the stuff that kind of chaps us and chaps our ass a little bit about players, but also some are going to get overpaid, some are going to be underpaid, man, as we go on, and some are going to be shocked.
No doubt, Sean. Welcome back, man. I'm glad to be here. Here's the issue. I argue every day on my show about these kids and wanting the big bag of money, they say nowadays, the bag. T. Higgins got franchise tags second year in a row. My co-host and Sean King and guys that I have on every day are pissed off and saying that we let them go and he should go get his money. I'm different, Sean, because I'm like you a little bit. I want to see a good product. I think Joe Burrow needs those too. Maybe that's selfish of me. But listen, go get your money, kids. I get it. I understand it. But I also want to see a great product. And we're wasting Joe Burrow every single year by having a team like the Bengals and Joe Burrow not even representing in the playoffs, Sean. I want to see a great team. Tom Brady, yourself, you've been around a long time, that you've seen the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, take a cut to make your team better. That is out the door, I guess, Sean. I don't think we have that anymore.
Yeah, and JB, with that, and I want to hit this hard. You something that is interesting to me about the franchise tag and what what Sean King, our buddy, has said and how people feel. And I think we all have a different feel about it. And yeah, I mean, Burrow's the type of guy when they get like last year, the struggle. Had they got in the playoffs, dangerous because of the way they can score, right? But they lost too many one-score games late. But I want to get into this a bit about pay cuts and moving around money. I think you can manipulate the salary cap any way you want. I do. I know there's people getting salary cap hell. You got to have players that are willing to do it. And I'm not even talking about pay cuts. Look what Nico Collins did, moved money around, and they freed up almost $10 million on just some simple moves on his salary. The Cowboys used to do it back in the 90s. We saw the 49ers. Guys would take less money or move money up front where they could move it and give them salary relief. Who's willing to do it, who isn't. I don't get in people's wallet, but JB, and I know you don't, that's their gig. But I do reserve an opinion and the right to tell you how I feel about it. This franchise tag, listen, I don't like it, how it hampers the player. I get it. Now they've adjusted it where you're only allowed to franchise this so many times before you go. But as the rule's set up, if you don't like the rule, that's fine. I don't like it either. Because as a guy who's no longer a player, I'll lean on the side of players most of the time, unless it comes to this player empowerment point where you force yourself out while you're under contract and the team kisses your ass and lets you. I got a real problem with that. So, and then you'll hear people, well, hey, man, let him go get his bag. He's under contract. If you're under contract, then you're either playing for me, or if I'm not moving you, that's a me thing. If I'm the organization. You're under contract, you signed it. Don't come to me after 2 years on a great deal, on a 5-year deal, saying I'm underpaid after you went out and whooped ass for 2, then you should have bet on your damn self, okay? And forcing your way out of my building, because if I'm running a show in the NFL, which I'm not, you're not forcing your way out of my building. Now, I may force your ass out, but you ain't forcing your way out, because unless we're working together, and I'm never giving a player away because he wants out and he wants to go get his. You should have thought of that when you signed the 5-year contract anyway. But that pushes me forward to this. On people's feelings about it. Why in the world, I mean, if it falls under the rule, why if I'm the Cincinnati Bengals? And why if I'm anybody else? Why should you be mad at me as a broadcaster or fan that I franchised you to protect you on my roster? I mean, I get why. I know what our buddies think. Oh man, I'm mad at him. I hate him. They ought to get out. And T. Higgins is a hell of a player, and I understand why he wants. Listen, this year for Sam Darnold, who did not get franchise tag, and we're going to get to him in Minnesota, and the money that he's probably going to be asking for, looking for now that J.J. McCarthy is going to be the heir apparent. But do you still need a bridge there? We'll get to that. With T. Higgins, I think T. Higgins is a great player. And if you're Joe Burrow, you're happy today. Number one, if you're me, and if I'm Joe Burrow, I'm happy, JB, that they didn't let him, that they franchised him. I know you wanted to get a big deal, but I'm franchise tagging you because I'm protecting you. You're a guy I want here. When I franchise you, I'm basically telling you, well, I may be a little cheap and I don't want to pay you the big money, but I'm going to pay you the equivalent of the top 5 receivers in the league or quarterbacks, depending on where you are. I'm protecting it. The rule tells me I'm allowed to do this to you. And if we can't get a deal worked out by franchise tag day, guess what? I'm not letting you go. And I don't care how mad you are at me. It's still a good money on a short period. I get why you want the big money and the guaranteed money. But I'm not begrudging a team. Oh yeah, I'm not going to franchise him because I'm a good guy and I want to make sure you go get yours and go get in a bidding war with me because I'm going to let you go. I'm not doing that. I got the franchise tag. I'm going to use it where it fits salary cap wise and player. So I get why people don't. I don't like it, but if the rule, it's like anything else. Hell, I don't like. There's a lot of rules in sports I don't like. I don't like the kickoff rule in the NFL. But guess what? I got to live by the kickoff rule because we change shit just to change it. In the NFL drives me nuts. So with the T. Higgins thing, with T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, until they get to a point where they can get off the field defensively, and they have a new defensive coordinator, and until they stand the whole time, they've got no shot anyway. Regardless,
they got to re-sign Hendrickson, the DN that led the league in sacks last year.
Right. So they can give me a couple things I know that travel, JB, in sports, especially football. If you can play defense and disrupt the offensive, that other offense, even if your offense is horse shit, I can stay in a game. I know another thing that travels. If I protect my quarterback, an average one becomes good, and a good one can become great, and the best just stay at the top. I know what doesn't travel. Constantly getting rid of your best players, constantly giving player empowerment the chance to just, when they're unhappy, they leave. They woke up and somebody pissed in their Cheerios, so they want to leave the organization. Now, I get why some don't like the organization, but if you're under contract, you don't get to dictate to me what you do. If you want to stay home, you can stay home. The league's going on without you. Plenty of teams win with. I mean, it goes on in baseball. Football. If you're hurt, we got to go win. If we traded you, we got to go in. And the whining and bitching when a teammate gets traded, it's football, man. It's sports. People get traded. Back in my day, you gave the guy a hug. You're bummed that he left, but 8 other guys weren't going to hold out and be pissed and say, I'm requesting a trade because you let that guy go or you traded him. Crap happens. It's called business.
John, let me ask you, T. Higgins, I get he's a great player and all that. I don't think he's in the top 10 wideouts in football, though. There's 32 teams. Pretty much every team has a dynamic duo of some sort, whether it's a tight end, wideout, running back. It's some sort of duo. I think he benefits greatly from Jamar Chase being the true alpha one there and Joe Burrow. And I think if you want to really hold out and you want shipped for maybe $4 million more, because you're not going to get much more than $26 million, by the way. It puts him around number 9 or 10 in the NFL at $26 million being tagged as he is. And then I hate when I hear all these guys out here crying for these dudes because they didn't get $50 million. He's not a number one. I'm just going to be honest. I think he benefits from Jamar Chase and Burrow. And I think down the line, he can make more money in the long run by being with a great ball spinner like Burrow and having the opportunity not to be double teamed because you have Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
I mean, it's period. That's all. I'm tired of hearing the player empowerment prima donna crybaby.
I think it's a lot of it's short-sighted by players at times. I do, JB. Like I said, I'm not going to take the organization side if you say, well, if the player says, well, I want another million, go get yours while you can. But you know what? Because it's the window. What if you play 10 years? You beat the system. If you can play 10 years with big money, you really dominated. So in the case of Higgins, I think he's a hell of a player. You're right. Dynamic duos matter, and some are fortunate they may have 3. And if you got a tight end, God bless you. But here's what I do know: that I don't, as much as I love T. Higgins and I want him on my team, if he was playing in Pittsburgh, we wouldn't be having this conversation today about 30 million, $28 million. He'd be a number one there, but it would be different. It would
No,
be
yeah,
different. You know what I'm saying? He not only
yeah.
benefits from Jamar Chase drawing all the double, where he gets to be free and do his thing, and he's a great closer. He finishes. He's a good player. And when they had Boyd there as well, that threesome was pretty damn good. But you take Jamar Chase off that team, um, T. Higgins, I think the job gets a little tougher for him because the attention goes to him. What happens with two, there's plenty of footballs to go around for two, and then you get stuck with Joe Burrow. I got some other guys you could get stuck with, and that money, you wouldn't even be sniffing that money because they don't know how to deliver the ball to you on time and make sure it's distributed properly. Who's a great player. So you're exactly right. I want Higgins to do this, but at what expense? Sometimes what you do, they chase the money like a gambler. I got to chase money. And when you get there, you realize, damn, this card. Then you go through four quarterbacks and you realize, I sure wish I was back playing with that guy and that other receiver who frees me up in Jamar Chase. So and I think Higgins makes Jamar Chase better. I do.
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
because if you're in one of those games where you're playing against a good secondary and Jamar Chase, which doesn't, even the good ones find a way to beat double teams, he and Jefferson. But when you're having one of those days as a quarterback, an offense, and a team, you got to have a number two that on that day can be a number one and dominate that game. He's got that ability. But on a day-to-day basis, he's in the right spot right now. I don't think you want to go to the Raiders right now if you're him, if you didn't get franchised, because they ain't got a quarterback to get it to him. You'll ask Devontae Adams how that felt, going from Rodgers to a cat, and the Raiders couldn't decide on a quarterback, right?
Yeah. Before you move on to the next thing, how much you think these are involved when it comes to these guys seeing what's transpiring around the league and then thinking, I deserve the same shit. Like, that's the problem we have. Like, Max Crosby just signed I think the largest non-quarterback deal today. Good kid. Just texted him congratulations. Don't you think these guys see that and say, well, I deserve that bag? No, you don't. Max Crosby does something you cannot do on franchises, and that's disrupt the Joe Burrows and the Mahomes. You're a pass-catching guy who's not even a 1A receiver. You're a 1B or a 2. I think we've created a landscape where everyone believes they deserve what everyone else gets, and it's not the case. That's not the case, Sean.
There's no doubt. It's Coach JB. I'm Sean Salisbury here on Unpaved, along with Triple E, obviously, who's producing all the show and doing great stuff. JB and Herman Edwards will join us in about 15, 17 minutes or so. We'll talk a little more football and expand this conversation with him. JB, I'm with you. There is no doubt. You're talking that phone, that social media, where then your buddies text you or tweet you after you saw what somebody else got. And see,
you a sucker if you don't hold out.
Right. And then they start to buy into it, and they're all of a sudden they start to look around and say, "Well, man, he got his." And you may be a guy who's not even in his league, but all of a sudden you've convinced yourself. And I like confidence, but I don't like stupidity. Okay, let's not go overboard. There's a handful of sacred cows in the league, and guess what? Some of the guys we're about to talk about today ain't them. Okay, good players, chance to be great. T. Higgins really got hell. If he was going to leave, I'd love him here. Go ahead to go to Oakland on my team or come to Houston so I can watch you play every day. I'd love it. But you know what? The Bengals aren't stupid when it comes to this. And I would imagine Joe Burrow would be pounding the door to keep him there. And if it means a one-year franchise, another franchise tag, guess what? Well, that would mean franchise tag almost 30. And he got franchised last year, am I correct? Back-to-back franchise tag. So he wants the big money. It ain't a bad backup plan to be paid the top 5 receivers for 2 years in a row while the best receiver or 1 and 1A and Jefferson and Jamar Chase is on your team on the planet. It ain't bad to be paid paid like a number one when you're not a number one on your team. So that's go do it one more time, and guess what? Then you go get yours. But I do, because you're worried about injury. But I'm not begrudging the team for not going and for one is not being able to get to the number yet, which would be great if they could have him long term. I'm sure they want him long term at the right price. But hell, if I got the franchise tag at my disposal, I'm using it if I can't get a deal done. And if I think
about it, Jamar Chase is going to even break what Max Crosby just signed today.
No, that's going to be done shortly.
He'll be the biggest non-quarterback pay ever. And you got a receiver over here making $26 million. Good coin now, but he's going to think he's worth
this, JB.
40.
Yeah, think about this. You're going to have one guy on the team who's going to be the highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. And then the dude who lines across from him is going to be making about $26 million. You're going to have two guys at the salary. That would mean that Chase is going to make about what, 35 to 40, like 35 plus, 36, 37 a year on the average.
I would say 40.
Now you think about that, you're going to have over 50. Regardless, you're going to have over 50 million tied up in two receivers. So, and the Bengals are notorious, and the quarterback getting paid too. And the Bengals in the past have notoriously been cheap. So they're going to have to find a way to manipulate. But the truth is, if they don't get the defense sewed up and get that great pass, it won't matter. We'll be having the same conversation every year. They got close, man.
They got a pass rusher that led the league in sacks last year in Hendrickson that they got to re-sign, who wants to be in Cincinnati, and their other DN just retired today because they cut him. So, and he's only 29 years old. So I'm just telling you, they have defensive issues. I was trying to explain to my guy, like, they're the last defense in the NFL. You can score 50, but if you give up 51, guess what?
You lose. Remind me of, honest to God, remind me of a different way they got to it was Lincoln Riley, my USC Trojans. When Caleb won the Heisman that year, not the year, when he finished
the game, gave up 45.
Heisman, they would score. I mean, they'd hang 44 on you, and Tulane would beat you 46, 44. So it won't matter, and that's the part of wasting a career. You got to. Hell, 2 years ago, or remember 3 years ago when they were in the Super Bowl, and they got beat. The offensive and defensive coordinators were equivalent to what the Detroit Lions coordinators were this year. Everybody, hottest commodities in the league. Well, guess what?
And it was a good game, close game, good defense, good offense.
And Lou was going to get paid. He got fired.
Yeah.
So how quickly it shifts. Hell, here Bobby Slowick after C.J. Stroud's rookie year. Oh my gosh, this guy's the next hottest thing. A year later, he's coaching as an assistant coach, not calling plays with the Miami Dolphins. So interesting. You mentioned Max Crosby, JB. JB and I here every day live at 2 o'clock Central Time, along with the team here at Unpaved. Grateful to be here on Rumble and from our, which I love, at our Premier Gold Studios. You say, Sean, what do you mean studios? Joe, you and JB got bourbon in the background. You got all these cool setups at the house. The studio's getting built, and it's going to be epic. It's going to be epic, and you're going to love it. But in the meantime, Premier Gold's with us, and precious metals are important. I'm so grateful to have them as a big part of this show. And I've spent my career, anybody who played football at quarterback, making decisions under pressure. Some have made far bigger pressure decisions than I have on the field. And there's some quick decisions, but I don't have to make that many now, right? But the pressure's still bigger, isn't it? Because you're making life decisions now. It's 350-pound lineman then, and now it's making sure you're preparing for retirement, protecting your money. So in retirement, my savings and everything else I've worked for, you try to protect. So I keep asking myself, everything with going on the market, is my retirement safe? I'm not ready to retire, but I want to know if it's safe so I can get out in front of this thing. Is it enough? How do I protect what I've worked so hard for? I'm sure you guys ask the same thing. So my biggest concern back in the day, you're dodging pass rushes and reading defenses, but now there's a lot more to it. On the goal line of life, one wrong play with your finances sets you back years, guys. And you know this. The recovery is tougher. It's just like when you go and work out when you're 50 as opposed to 30. Damn, you got to really work hard to get back at it. So, and I've seen a lot of hardworking Americans put their wealth into 401ks and IRA accounts. Who hasn't? And trusting that they'd be set for life and when the time came to retirement. But over the years, we see markets take hit after hit after hit. And I watched my retirement take a hit too. Who didn't? We've been through it. One bad day on Wall Street can mean a lot of losses for your retirement. The older you get, the harder it is to bounce back. And we all know that. So you got to have a playbook. And that playbook is centered around financial security and isn't just about building wealth. It's keeping it and protecting it. And that's where Premier Gold comes in. And I've teamed up with Premier Gold, and they're a big part of this show. They've helped countless folks like you and me protect what we've worked so hard for to keep. And they do that with physical gold, the real tangible assets that stand the test of time. And it's in your hand and tangible. Inflation, market swings, and debt all eat away at your retirement, but not precious metals. Now, physical gold and silver can provide security and freedom. That's why you need this playbook to walk you through it. And Premier Gold will make it easy for retirees to own gold, offering expert guidance, a simple rollover process, and no hidden fees. All those work in your favor as you get close to retirement, or if you're close to retirement, or you're already there. You just need a plan for the long term to protect what's yours. Just like in the game, timing is everything. But it isn't a game anymore. It's your future, your life, your legacy, your family. Protecting your wealth is important. So don't wait until it's too late. It gets tougher. Just like in your workouts, man, tougher to come back the next day. Same way with your retirement. Go visit premiergoldco.com. That's premiergoldco.com, and get involved in what I think is one of the best playbooks on the planet. That's premiergoldco.com. All right, JB, back to us talking about this. You mentioned Max Crosby's contract, and we think Myles Garrett, Max Crosby, uh, the Bosa brothers. We think Micah Parsons, the guys who are the disruptors. You take the 5 or 6, just like the 5 or 6 quarterbacks. All right, so the Raiders with Pete Carroll are trying to do. Pete will do something. This. Pete could recruit when he was at SC. He got players to go there, and he gets buy-in, which I think is so huge quickly. That's a perfect case in point. You don't need a 35-year-old to always coach your team. It can be a 70-year-old. He's got the energy of a 30-year-old and the constitution of a friggin' Clydesdale, so he'll be fine. But it all starts at you kept your best player, Max Crosby, and you paid him, and he was worth every damn penny in this, correct? I know you agree.
Yeah.
Now, as the franchise, it appears they're trying to get some things where they're becoming more substance-filled with the Raiders, where it's not just cosmetic. But there's still needs there. Playmakers on the perimeter. A quarterback see, we don't want to waste Max's career either. And as a lifelong Raider fan, a little bit vested interest, but I come at this from a sitting on the fence of how we're going to do this. And I don't think Pete Carroll, you and I were talking before the show, I don't think Pete Carroll was going to draft a quarterback at 6. I don't. I think the Pete Carroll plan for me, from my optics, and get yours, is one, at that spot, you either go trade for another dominant player in the league that's available. Maybe it's a bookend like Myles Garrett. Maybe you go get somebody that's another type position. You say, I got to sew this up, whether it's on the offensive line, whether it's a defensive player. I personally don't see a guy that's changing the course of that franchise in the top 6. I just don't. I think Shedeur Sanders he can throw it and Ward can throw it, but I don't see a guy that walks in and starts as a rookie and we say, Jaden Daniels, welcome to the league. I don't think I see him in this draft. We mentioned that yesterday. So the way the Raiders go about this, can Pete Carroll turn this around, I ask myself, and do it quickly? But how's he going to do it? What quarterback out there? Is Rodgers really in play? And can he at least make him relevant when it comes back to it in a brutal division? The Chiefs, obviously, they franchised Trey Smith, no doubt. They traded Thuney to Chicago for, a 4th-round pick, which to me, that's a good get for Chicago and Caleb Williams. So as the division starts to shape its way up, now DK Metcalf, Pete's old team, Tyler Lockett gets cut. Now Metcalf wants traded out of Seattle, right? All these teams, but shifting to the AFC West with Pete Carroll, how quickly can he turn it around? And do they have their quarterback on the franchise? And do you think there's going to be a rookie quarterback doing this? I think he goes for a veteran, one of the guys, whether it's Jameis, whether it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't know if they'd even try to roll into that. I know Darnold's going back to Minnesota, not going back, but talking to Minnesota as well on a shorter-term deal, just like I had expected and anticipated most of the year. Do the Raiders go find a bridge? Does Pete Carroll have the balls to bring Russ Wilson back? What were they like at the end of their relationship in Seattle? All these questions that the Raiders got to face. I would not draft a quarterback at 6. I may trade and try to get more people or try to trade that pick for a dominant player.
Yeah, the rumor is, or supposed to happen any minute now, is the Raiders are releasing Gardner Minshew, which is a veteran presence at the QB spot there.
He's a backup in the league, JB. I love him. He's good to have on your team. He's a backup in the NFL.
I agree. He's a fill-in guy, right? He's better off the bench than he is starting. If they get rid of that veteran, they got Aiden O'Connell, who I actually like. I just don't think he's ready, but I actually like him. Big arm, a good friend of mine coached him in college.
Like 4 years, but 3 years from now, right, JB? After almost like Jordan Love with Aaron Rodgers. He needs to sit and look. He's not ready for the prime time regularly, consistently yet.
Yeah, so if you release Gardner today, what's that tell you, though? If you're speaking of Pete Carroll and management, doesn't that mean you're going to either go and get you other veteran to, like you just said, train Aiden O'Connell? Because that's what it seems like, right? It doesn't seem like you're going to draft a guy now, to your point. I don't see how you draft a QB in this draft at 6. When you got Aaron Rodgers, Kirk Cousins, Sam Darnold possibly still out there, Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, and Jameis Winston all looming out there. So you got 6 guys, I think, that are fill-in 1-year bridge gap guys for a Pete Carroll type of guy. And I think Pete would probably either want to be comfortable with Russell Wilson, that he knows. I believe they've mended fences, and now you got DK Metcalf demanding a trade. So does that reunite back in Vegas? Who knows? But I know there's 6 quality guys out there that are veteran QBs that I believe Pete will go with over drafting a guy.
They can win some games for you. May not. They're not taking him to a Super Bowl this quick. But the question I also think is Pete Carroll. What is his time frame? Does he plan on doing this 5 more years, 8 more years, or is it a 3-year type of deal where you go in and so I don't think Pete took the job, not just for the money, but also just to go win 4 games. I don't think he would at this. He doesn't need to.
And you're 72, Sean. You don't have a 5-year plan, right?
Right. The truth is, you got a 2-year plan, and then you take it 1 year at a time. So Energy's different. He's built different, which is a good thing. With this, I want to keep in mind we're going to get to Herm Edwards here in a couple minutes. I do want to keep in mind as we continue this a couple things about the Raiders situation. We talked about Pete's timeline. You mentioned Minshew. See, okay, one is Aiden O'Connell better now than Shedeur Sanders would be or the Jackson Dart the next 2 years? I believe so. I think spinning the football is Dart gives you a little more versatility. Sanders gives you all that swagger and confidence. But, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up with my Raiders. But he's going to take a lot of hits. He's just not going to extend plays. So they all give you 3. And then the next part of that is who the coordinator is. Chip Kelly likes movement. Chip Kelly likes to – we've seen him at every level somehow, and wherever he's gone, somehow, some way, they will move the football. So how much leeway is Pete going to give Chip to say, and when you're making, $6 million a year as a coordinator, you're going to get a lot of say. You're going to get a ton of say.
Take a lot of heat. And take a lot of heat.
No question. I mean, with that money and with that goes a lot of questions asked. So how much say will he have in, do we draft one? Do we see of all those guys I just named? You know who feels like a Chip Kelly guy is Jackson Dart, but not at 6. You're not drafting him that high. That type of player, and then you get who's going to give you the versatility? And if you're not going to get the RPO action where the run becomes a threat with the quarterback, then you better find one who can put his foot in the ground, deliver it on time with accuracy, which goes to guys like Cousins. Jameis is going to throw for 4,000 yards. He's also going to throw you 25 picks. That's just who he is. So,
if I asked you if Pete Carroll is trying to rebuild this thing faster than later, and he said, you know what, I'm going to kind of use a Jim Harbaugh approach. I'm going to draft tackle maybe, or help out in the holes that we have as a Raiders organization. We have no skill players other than Brock Bowers, who I think is the best tight end in football already. You need a running back. I do like Zaire, but you got to get another big-time back, in my opinion. And you got too many holes on defense. You just signed your staple in, but now can I go get another complementary weapon on defense to help him? Now, can you live with Aiden O'Connell to not turn the ball over, run the football, and do what Pete Carroll does, Sean? Defensive coordinate. Play great, sound defense, and win you 10 games in year 1. That's my question to you. Or do I draft a rookie who's going to turn the ball over because he's never played in this man's league? And I don't believe you do that. I think you take number 6 pick. You either trade it up to get a big-time guy like a Myles Garrett from Cleveland, or you stay with your veteran QB and you take 6 and draft the best available player for your roster.
To me, at the 6th pick, if you're staying there, I don't care what quarterback's available at the 6th pick. I need to take a guy who has a chance. I got to have a 6th pick. There can't be an if. I don't care what position he plays. He's starting, and he's got to impact early next year in the 2025 season. And I'm not sure a quarterback on that roster does it. So you're right. If you didn't do anything and stood pat, then you're going to say what we're doing is we're going defense, offensive line, more playmakers. Aiden O'Connell, here's what you're going to do. We're going to be smart with our reads. We're going to mentally be sharp. We're going to protect the football, and we're going to build it on the physical side. We're kicking the shit out of you at the line of scrimmage, and then we're going to keep them close, and hopefully we don't do something stupid with the football. The other one is at 6. You trade 6, you're going to get a player. Now, depending
Yeah.
on a player, or do you package it and move up more so you can get an impact rookie, depending on the position. There you go.
You better hope not. You better not allow Pete, because Pete took one of my players early in the draft for Seattle that nobody thought he would take, and that was Bruce Irvin.
Yeah.
When he took him real high in that draft, nobody thought he would. You better hope Abdul Carter's not sitting around at 6, because Pete will take his ass.
Yeah, Pete won't care what anybody else thinks about who he's evaluated. He's going to go with his guy. Hey, Triple E, we got Herm up. Put my man Herm up there, man. There he is. My guy, he played all those footballs, fumble recoveries, helmets. My man, Herman Edwards.
Hey, look, let me tell you guys something. You got to be an engineering graduate to get on you guys' show. I mean, come on, man. I'm an old football coach. Let me tell you something.
Hey.
Pressing all these buttons and all these codes and everything. Look, come on, man. I just went to Mass. As we know, it's Ash Sunday, so I'm praying for you guys. This was unbelievable.
Hey, Herm, welcome in. Before I introduce you, why do you think we hired Triple E? Because yesterday, we're 15 minutes late. I'm sitting here. I'm not tech savvy enough to get all these damn buttons.
Sean, we didn't grow up in that era, man. We actually grew up where you talk to people, you just trying to say, hey, man, let me just talk to the guy. You got to press all these buttons.
Isn't that right? But hey, I appreciate you elevating your technology to join me today, brother. It's good to have you on. The great Herm Edwards, ESPN analyst, obviously. Matter of fact, some of his first shows, I was blessed. We got to do them together when Herm came to ESPN.
Absolutely.
Longtime NFL player, longtime NFL coach, and college coach. Herm, we're getting into some great discussion on franchise tag day and all that. Let me take you back to your coaching days on a day like this, on a franchise tag day. What came into these types of decisions when you'd sit with the front office? I know the player, it depends on how difficult was it, because it's you're ripping the player off, but the rule says I can franchise him. We don't have to give him a long-term contract. Where do you sit on that, player or organization?
I'm always taking the player side of it.
Yeah.
Because I think like a former player, and I'm hoping that we can get something done. Obviously, I'm in the conversation with the management side, but I'm also in the side of the player too, saying, hey, look, let's get this done. What do I need to do? I'm in your corner, but there comes a point to where there's always going to be a number involved in this. And when the number starts affecting other guys on the team that you want to keep, that we've got a pretty good team, we want to keep it together, you got to sometimes give a little bit back to the team. So you can, and sometimes players don't get that because sometimes their egos are wrapped up in the number. I signed for this other guy signed for that. Well, that's all good. But you want to keep the team. We got a playoff team, man. We got a really good team. We can, if we can stick together for the next 3 or 4 years, we can make a run at this. So that's the conversation you try to have with the players as a coach.
Speaking of that franchise tag, the Vikings, I'm just going to get your thought. When you do that, when you watched Sam Darnold play, Vikings didn't franchise him. They draft J.J. McCarthy. Obviously, this year, Sam had a hell of a year, and I couldn't have been more proud of him after all that he's been through, right? I mean, Herm, he was well coached this year. So in your eyes, if I come to you and we are in the market for a quarterback, we're one of these teams that's in the market for a quarterback, and I come to you in the front office and I say, Herm, you're the head coach, you're running this show, but we need a quarterback. Where are we on Sam Darnold? What's your first thoughts?
Well, first thoughts are we getting the Sam Darnold the first 14, 15 games, and not the Sam Darnold toward the end of the year, where all of a sudden he became that Sam Darnold that we've seen. Hey, look, Kirk Cousins went through this, and so that's the question you got to ask yourself. Now he's not an old player, but what you got to ask him, what happened? Because as we know, the regular season is regular. But, the big-time players, when the brightest lights come on, that's when they got to play good.
Hey, Herm, with that, he played so well, like his Pro Bowl. See, played great. It almost felt like early in his career, he felt like he had to play hero football, right? And I felt Minnesota with Jefferson and Coach O'Connell, they kind of said, dude, you just got to just deliver the ball on time and keep moving the bus, as our great friend Denny Green would say. Drive the bus for us. Just drive the bus. And he did a great job of it. But can a coach in an organization, maybe sour is not the right word, but can you sour on a guy who's on a 1-year contract after that season over 2 games? I mean, because of the pressure?
I would hope not, but here's the problem they got. Okay, so you draft 1, 2. So now you say we're going to wait another year or two?
With the first round pick too.
Exactly. I mean, he's number uno.
Right.
And number uno's sitting on the bench. And so this is where the head coach has to say, look, for what, Sam's done a good job. We had a run with him, but I can get this young guy. He sat on the bench now for a year. I can get him playing and doing some things this is our future going forward. And that's the question you got to ask yourself, because you're in a division that's pretty good. That NFC North is a pretty good division.
You're going NFC North both are nasty.
Nasty. Yeah, and not shame of it all. When they got in the playoffs, they all got eliminated.
Right.
But see, that goes to show you that too, right? The best division in football in the regular season and playoffs. I mean, can you imagine if you're the Detroit Lions?
Oh my gosh.
And how you feel?
Yeah.
I mean, you let a rookie quarterback come in your house.
Yeah. And then the whole league took all your coordinators and everything else with them, and so you got to. It's not a rebuild, but it really is kind of a rebuild for them on the sidelines to get the same continuity they had a year ago, right, or the last couple of years.
Yeah, there's no doubt, but Minnesota's in a tough division. They know it. They know they're going to have to win at least 12 games to win that division, right?
Absolutely. And
so that's the question you got to ask yourself.
Yeah, and Chicago's on the rise right now. They're going to do some things and make it competitive. Herm Edwards joins us, a longtime friend and obviously coach and player, and also on the college level. Herm, I want you to kind of combine the both, but I'm focused on the NFL. You saw the NIL stuff start to kick in transfer portal. You saw that at Arizona State. You see in the NFL with play. I'm talking about the player empowerment. We're down to high school, Herm. We have to go and tell us an 8th grader and a 10th grader and his parents. And it's not, hey, you're coming to school to do great at SC or UCLA. How much you gonna pay me? So this player empowerment thing and focused on the NFL, is it overboard, Herm? Where are you on, or do we give them too much latitude now on whether they can move and force their way out of the organization? Where are we on that with you?
With NFL or college?
NFL.
Well, look, I think we my era of playing, and I'm before you, there was no movement. I mean, either you got traded or got cut.
Right.
But if you had a contract and when it expired, they had your rights. You couldn't go anywhere. You're stuck. And you said, and they would negotiate with you and say, look, this is the deal. You take it or leave it. We're going to give you a 10% raise. That's all you're getting. And that was the NFL that I grew up playing in, right? So now the movement obviously makes it more difficult. But I think there's a core of players that you got to keep. And when you feel like this core of players is coming together, you got about a 3 to 4 year window, right? And then you're going to lose them. You're going to lose them. This is why the draft and free agency becomes big in the NFL, because you got to stay 2 years ahead of the 4-year cycle. In other words, by 2 years into the those contracts, you got to go, okay, we got to replace this guy because we know he's a really good player and we can't keep all these guys.
Right.
We're going to have to replace him.
So you got to be thinking ahead. Close on them, right, Herm? So you just got to keep feeding the cupboard, right? You got to have somebody where to jump in so the puppy jumps in and is ready to be the big dog. If you don't, then there's that gap that kills you, correct?
Yeah, and look, I'm happy for the players.
Right.
I mean, it's not like the owners are crying poor. Right. We got the best game in town, man. You know that. I mean, before we always used to sit here and go, man, I can remember, growing up. It's like, oh man, if I could just play on Monday Night Football. That was like the biggest game ever. Just play on Monday Night Football. Howard Cosell's going to mention it. That was the only game we had, Monday Night Football, right? In the NFL, they got Monday Night Football. They got Thursday Night Football. They do whatever they want.
Hell, we're to the point now every day. We got Tuesday night college, Wednesday night college, NFL football. Yeah, it was that I'm craving to be on the national televised game. Well, you get that 5 nights a week, it feels like. That's a great point. Herm, what do we – on a couple teams, what's Pete Carroll in for? At this stage, being away from it a couple years, you were away from it, came back. Yeah, what's he in for? I say his age, but you know how Pete is.
He did. The number doesn't matter to Pete. Right. I think he'll bring a lot of energy. He can talk to the players. I mean, he'll have a good voice. But here again, I'm not saying the players are different, but they are different.
They are. Oh yeah, so is the system. You know that.
Yeah. So I tell coaches when I went back to college, I said, let me tell you something. You can't correct these guys anymore. You got to give them direction because they're sensitive. You can't give them correction.
They all give them direction. Personal, Herm? Did they take it personal?
They take everything personal.
Right.
Oh no. I said, just give them some direction. The same thing. You're just using the word different. I said, I used to tell players, like, hey, man, we ain't, no, we're not correcting you. We're going to give you some direction, though. You show you how to go to take the right road so you can be a really good player.
The way you got to tread to be a head coach now, man, it's crazy. It is crazy.
It's worse than college.
Oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. And
Oh.
college is getting pretty bad for those coaches. I mean, forcing guys out, but it is unbelievable how the days when what they call sensitive, you and I called normal talk to, man. That was Dad putting his arm around you.
Yeah, it's just it's and look, I'm happy to where it's at. I mean, players now, you're a college player. You look what you made in college as a college athlete, and what I made. I mean, football was basically at most of the schools that we went to. It really brought the money in for all other sports.
Yep.
On the weight of the players. Now I get it. That was the day that you understand. But in today's world now, these players understand. Look, my name and my likeness means something, and I can make money off of it, and that's a good thing.
Like you have a down payment on a home before you step foot in the NFL. It ain't with
And most of them ain't going to go to the NFL.
That's exactly.
And the good thing is, Sean, is that most of these guys now, they'll stay in college longer.
Oh hell yes! Why
Right?
wouldn't you? Well,
Why not?
You're making $4 million, $5 million, $6 million bucks to stay there. Why not? And you're enjoying the college life, and you can go win a national title. Why wouldn't you?
Yep. And a lot of those guys are getting paid. Look,
Right.
They're not all going to the NFL.
Right.
They
Most
may
of
be
them
good
are.
college players, but they ain't going to the NFL.
Right. So, Herm, let me ask you this: as a defensive guy, but you've seen the way from the time just the way we've transitioned football to the versatile quarterback to how to build a team. So let's you and I build one first. We know we got to have the quarterback, right? Herm, we got to have that guy. He's got to be a football playing Jesse who just gets it, who gets buy-in like the head coach and leads. Where are we starting second?
Left tackle.
After the quarterback, any team, you and I are in the NFL.
Left tackle.
And we're trying to build a team. We got our quarterback. Let's just say that. Where do we go next? What's the next position I got to have with all this offense? We saw the defense that still wins Super Bowls. Where do you got to go?
You got to get a left tackle. You got to get an athletic left tackle where you can sit him out there and go, okay, man, we're good. My blind side.
I'll see you in a decade, right? I'll see you in 10 years.
I'm good.
Right.
I'm good, right? I think in today's world, Sean, you'll appreciate this. The athletic tight end, there's no answer for those guys.
Whew.
No one can cover them.
There's such a mismatch. It's like when Marshall played or our guy Marcus Allen, when they'd flex out, people didn't realize Marcus could do everything, throw it, block it, that. But they'd flex him out and they'd create, if they're going to play man, you're taking a linebacker and walking him out. If you're going to play a corner, then it frees up somebody else. The mismatch these flexible tight ends create is a big problem.
There's no doubt. And I'm going to tell you what's coming back too, Sean, and watch the next couple of years, the runner. Because here's the problem. What is surfaced in the NFL? All defenses now, because most offenses run a tight end, 3 wide outs, a runner.
Right.
Okay? Mobile quarterback. So now you say, well, I got to put a nickel or dime package out there. Now you got light guys in the box. They can't play the run.
Big guys to block them. Right.
And so now you're going, okay, I got a 210-pound linebacker sitting in there. I go, guess what, boys? We make 5 yards every time I turn around and hand it. I'm in 2nd and 5 all day. And as a quarterback, 2nd and 5, there's no defensive call in the history of football for 2nd and 5. That's the worst down you could be in. 2nd and 5
yards, I better win 80% of my games on first down. That's the biggest and most important down we got.
So to me, the runner all of a sudden is kind of like, the runner's back. The runner's dead. No, he ain't dead. Not no more. Not with these teams playing with these light boxes. Yeah, because you can flat run the ball.
Yeah, when you're nickel and dime, or actually they're playing him at linebacker, and you're right, and you got a tight end or something to get out on him. And Herm, to validate exactly what you're saying, you said we're starting to see more of it. Hell, look what Mixon did in Houston. Derrick Henry's career was done. Remember, he was done. Yeah. Look what he did in Baltimore. Look at Saquon went from, what's going to happen in Philly? Bam. And now he's got a new pay raise. So you are right. The devalue of, as a quarterback, we never devalued running backs. And as a coach, the fan, how the money comes and, we're not going to pay him as much. We can get that guy in the 5th round. Oh, hell no. That guy, the reason Philadelphia wins Super Bowl or got to it, Saquon Barkley was a big reason why in those light boxes.
Yeah, and I think this too is a big deal. And you guys did it in your career as a quarterback. That 2 tight end package.
Yes,
it becomes a problem.
Big time.
When you set those tight ends on the dead side, where you got a tight end and the other one's the nub, it's a wing side. You got a problem over there. It's like you're sitting there going, how do we deal with this?
And it
Like,
becomes a problem in the passing game too, on the little play action, Herm, on the intermediates. Oh yeah, I don't want to be a defensive coordinator for that. I'll leave this, but I do want to be an offensive guy that's got 2nd and 5 all the time. I can
yep.
tell you that. Herm Edwards for a couple more minutes. Great conversation as always. All right, Herm, I'm gonna put you on the spot because you don't ever shy away from it. We got to win one game. Who's our head coach currently in the NFL? All the rosters are the same. All the quarterbacks are good. You and I got to win one game. We're going into a game, and our careers are on the line. We got to win one. Who's our head coach?
It's easy to pick Andy.
Of course it is. It's
Right?
easy to pick. 15 ain't bad though either, right?
You know what? And I love him because I think he's a little bit of a cuckoo bird, but he's an excellent coach. I like Harbaugh in San Diego
Why?
because he's tough.
Okay. You like the physical nature.
And his teams are going to be tough. You watch out for the Charger team now. I said it when they hired him. I said, look out. You better be careful.
Well, in a time in college football where we're spread out, he still lined up in the eye and still ran, and they physicaled their way to a national championship.
Yeah, and he's just, he gets it, man. He gets it. The players gravitate to the guy. He got a lot of energy. Now, he does some stuff where you look at it, what is he talking about?
Right.
He's
a goof. He's a goofball.
Oh, I tell you
no doubt.
I'll tell you what, Coach, he is unbelievable. He really is. But you talking about a ball coach?
Yeah.
That whole family's ball coaches.
Oh, they want, and they're fighting on the Thanksgiving Day game at their own home.
No doubt.
Oh, yeah.
But I just like his demeanor. I had the privilege of speaking to one of his teams when he was at Michigan. When they were playing in Orlando, we were down there. He just calls me on the phone. He knows we're down there with ESPN. He knows we're there. He says, and they're playing in that bowl game. He says,
right.
Hey, Herm, I need you to talk to you. I need to talk to you. Can you come over to my meeting? I went over. He says, I said, what you need? Coach said, you need to talk to my team. I said, about what? He said, just go talk to him. I said, okay.
Motivate him like you do, Herm. Let him go. Give him that energy. There you go.
Unbelievable.
There you go. What is with I lost my train of thought. Oh, with when you're talking about building a franchise and a quarterback and where we're headed in this draft, and Harbaugh having been a quarterback, is there a franchise quarterback in the next 3 years in this current draft term? Would you draft him if you were picking and you needed one?
I don't know.
So that's well. Stop right there. If your answer and we're having a conversation, you don't know the answer is no. Am I right? If there's too many ifs by that guy's name, you can't draft him that high.
And here's the problem, Sean. See, we use that franchise quarterback deal loosely. We kind of throw it out loosely.
Yes.
Because here's my question, and you played the position. Right now in the National Football League, we got 32 starting quarterbacks, whether you like it or not. We don't have 32 franchise quarterbacks.
Not even close.
Do we have even 10?
No, I think when you get around 6 to 7, they're in that realm, but they got to have good players around them. How many guys can load up a franchise and say, I'll carry you for 2 months on my back?
Correct. And there's nothing wrong with that because you get a lot of them that can win and a lot of them that'll win a Super Bowl doing that. But we get into this, and I think the fans get all excited because you draft the quarterback in the first round. Say, oh, he's our franchise guy. You're going, okay, he's a good one. Not saying we can't win a Super Bowl with him, but we don't know if he's a 10-year guy. Right. Now, I know one guy is the guy that plays in Washington.
Yeah. He's pretty good.
Daniels? Oh, he's a 10-year guy.
Yeah, he was a franchise going in, and he's even more of a franchise guy coming out of that rookie. He's special, no doubt. Yeah. What doesn't he have, Herm? You know what his biggest weakness is? Dude, quit taking hits.
And look, when he played for me, I told him the same thing. I talked to him every week. I told him the same thing. Hey, man, stop.
Yeah, you had him when he was a freshman, right, Herm?
That's exactly I had him for 2 years. Yeah,
great kid. Let me ask you about him. Did you know then he was different?
Oh, yeah.
Why?
He's special. 17-year-old. Here's when I knew it. We were playing Oregon, and they were 4th in the country. He's a freshman. We're playing him at home. It's a tight game. And he comes over the fourth quarter. There's like 4 minutes left or something. We're down by 3. And he wore number 5. And I said, 5, come here, man. Come here. I said, we good? He said, Coach, we're good. And I said, what you want to do? He says, me and Ayuk done work. So Brandon Ayuk was one of his receivers.
Right.
So he says, me and Brandon Ayuk got this thing we want to do. I said, like when? He said, next play. I said, well, go do it. He threw a touchdown pass, Coach. We won the game.
What a shock. And Herm, when he left there and went to LSU, he got better every year. That's the thing I
Oh
love.
yeah,
He's improved his game. He had throwing the ball down the field at LSU his first year there. He didn't take that many chances. The next year he comes back, bam, has a
yeah.
dominant season. And you saw it this year. And what we can't teach very well, you're either accurate or you're not. I can improve it a little bit, Herm, but he's got that ability to make the simple play all the time.
He does, and you know what he doesn't do, and he didn't do this as a freshman. Now you learn real fast. He don't turn the ball over.
Right.
He doesn't turn the ball
He
over.
guards it if it's all family all the time.
Yeah, man, he gets that part, and he's a great kid. I
Yeah.
mean, a great kid. There ain't no doubt.
All right, let me end you with this, man. You've been kind, and I hope you'll be. We'll get your. We'll getting in here easier on you because I got to have you regularly, man, talking all this football.
Anytime you want me, brother, you know that.
I know, and I'm so grateful to have you on. You're the very first guest. This show was launched this week. Very first national guest we have. So thank you for being a part of it. And you know how much I love you and appreciate it. With this football season and the way we're going with the rules and quarterback protection, Herm, I know we need protection, but are we out of hand? Are we at it defensively? Aren't we at the slippery slope of losing the integrity of the game with all this?
Yeah, it's hard. You got to let them play. You got to let them play tackle football.
Right.
Okay, and I get protecting the quarterback, but here's the problem: there are more athletic quarterbacks than there's ever been in the National Football League. They are dynamic runners too. Some of these guys.
Right.
And I get it. When he leaves the pocket, you say, "Well, he's a quarterback." Yeah, well, he's a quarterback, but he's a runner. Because these quarterbacks have made it 11 on 11 now.
Yes.
It's a balanced field now. The defense always had an advantage. It was always 11 against 10. Well, now it's 11 on 11, man.
Hell, and Jaden Daniels and Josh Allen make it 12 on 11.
Oh, it ain't fair. It's not fair. And you're scared to death. I mean, what you're hoping that he hits his back foot and you say, throw it. Because when he doesn't throw it, you're going, uh-oh, we got a problem. You actually want the quarterback to throw it on time because when they hold it and then it becomes sandlot football, you got a problem.
Too many big plays. So how give me a quick fix, Herm. What do we do? What do we do about the slide and the hit? Hell, defensive players have no shot. It's not, they can't suspend in midair and not hit a guy. I mean, and a lot of times the receiver's ducking or the quarterback runs into trouble. What do we do?
Yeah, it's so hard. I just think we have to use instant replay more, I think, because it doesn't take but 5 seconds to look at it.
Agreed.
And say, hey, look, let them tackle again. You can't hit guys, with your helmet. You can't do that. But just let them play tackle football. And some of those things, those contact hits we see, we want to throw the flag. Just look at it 5 seconds. No, that's a good hit. Even the offensive players, the quarterbacks are smart quarterbacks, man.
Right.
These dudes are smart. They know, hey, man, I'm well protected. And I get it. When you pay that guy that much money, them owners are sitting up there going, hey, man, we got to protect the quarterback now. We paying this guy all his money. And the fans want to see the quarterback play. They want to see him play. They don't want to see the backup. They want to see the real guy. So you're in a little bit of a dilemma, but I think they got to get a little bit more loose and let these guys play tackle football, man.
Herm, I'm willing to allow a football game to last 10 more minutes to get it right. Aren't you?
I am too.
Yeah.
And the fans, you know what? And the fans are too. And you know how many more commercials you get in 10 minutes?
Yeah, the advertisers love that, and so does the NFL, and so do the teams. And Herm, real quick, and I'll let you go. For me, I can't remember the last time I was watching an NFL game that was exciting and great football, where I said, damn, can this get over in that 3 o'clock allotted? I didn't care. It's when you're watching flag after flag. That's when the game is like, I'm done. I'm moving on to the next one. This is nuts. If the game's 3 hours and 20 minutes because we're constantly slowing the game down, we're not letting them play tackle football, I can't deal with it. What I can deal with is that, man, it's a tweener. We can't. The guy didn't hit him on purpose. We got to understand intent. We don't understand intent as well as we need to with those instant replays as well.
And you know this. In my era, the rules were different. I get it. But the players, their intentions were to intimidate, but not to injure.
Yeah.
That's the defense's mindset. You intimidate them, but you don't want to injure because players know we're all playing the same arena, man, and we got to protect each other. They got to put it more on the players and say, man, you guys got to protect each other, man. We can bring it back, but you got to understand, you got to protect each other. If the players just do that alone helps it.
Well, Herm, isn't that the perfect place as we end this interview today? Isn't that the perfect place for player empowerment to rear its head too? Let us control it. It's like the game you play in pickup basketball at the gym, right? I'm not saying they call their own personal fouls, but you called your own fouls, and you know what? Everybody was cool with it.
Yeah.
With it.
You don't undercut a guy when he's going to shoot a
Thank
layup
you.
or dunk. You didn't
Thank
do
you.
that. It's like, man, you don't do that. It's just, we've gotten to, those poor guys, I tell those officials, they never have a home game. The poor
Oh,
officials. Wherever he goes, he never has a home game, man. They're sitting there,
they
they're
know
getting booed. As soon as they walk out of the tunnel, they're getting booed.
from August to February, they're getting booed, and it doesn't matter. It's on the road the
Oh,
whole August to February, they're done. Herm,
hard job.
this is friggin' great stuff. Thanks for your patience of logging on. But
Anytime. Hey, my daughter's home from school today, man. So, oh, by the way, I got to tell you something now, partner. I got two of them. I got a freshman in Texas, a
oh,
daughter.
awesome. Well,
She's
you're
working for
right
the
here.
she's working for the football program. I got another senior that's going to be a freshman now. She going to Texas too. So now all of a
Oh,
sudden I'm
we got to
paying.
spend some time out here then. Come on.
Oh yeah, I come down. I came down to a game. We was just down there this week. Watched the men's basketball team. Not so good right now.
Yeah, not
Women's are a
this
little bit
year.
better. But hey man, I'm a hook 'em horn all of a sudden.
Well, there you go. And you know what? You're always welcome in studio too. We're building new studios for this show. They have to come in and sit down, and you're welcome on the
Oh
show.
yeah, bro, I'll do that. You know that. For you,
And
I'll do that.
time to break bread and catch up. But congrats to the daughters. Hey, I don't know if that means we're getting old or we're just doing it right, brother, but ain't nothing like it.
We ain't getting old, brother. We getting wiser. That's
There
all.
you go. I love you, my man. Herm, thanks,
Thank you,
brother.
brother. Appreciate y'all. Thank
Yeah,
you. God bless.
that's the great Herm Edwards. There's a reason why he's a guest today. Energetic, fun, informative, not afraid to answer. What do we say about this show, JB? Transparent, with a lot of passion, a lot of energy. A lot of takeaways from that interview, huh, my man? A lot of
Yeah,
takeaways.
yeah. Great dude, man. He coached a lot of guys I had at Arizona State as assistant coaches, and then obviously Antonio Pierce, who I grew up with. But he had a young coach of mine, man, Prentice Gill, who's a great player as well. He had him as a young coach, man. Hey, he had Jaden Daniels right here out of Colton High School. A good friend of mine coached him in high school and right up the street, and he did a great job in getting that program to where it is right now. Was our another good friend Kenny Dillingham, who's got them into the national playoff. And
How's little Kenny's got it going on, doesn't he? And especially, it's nothing better than when you can do it at the school you played at as well or went to. Hey, quick, JB, Flash Funding is dedicated, you know this, we've talked about this, to helping businesses grow and expand by providing cash flow they need exactly when they need it. Instead of waiting on receivables, businesses can actually access immediate funding to seize growth opportunities, cover operational costs, and maintain profitability. We partner with this diverse range of businesses, not just to support their success, but to offer financing solutions beyond what traditional banks can provide. And you know the banks can be a little bit of a pain every now and then. So with 14 years of industry experience, our team is committed to delivering exceptional service. We understand that cash flow is the key to business growth, and Flash Funding's got it. And we're here to help you unlock all of it. Flash Funding offers factoring services across the continental U.S., providing same-day funding with no monthly minimums or application fees. So when it comes to financial flexibility, we are the ideal solution for your business needs. That's Flash Funding, and they are, throw that up there. We got that website for them, Triple E on Flash Funding, man. We'll get that up there so you guys can see it. Working capital on a flash funding.com, and pop on there and check that out. We're also doing this from the Premier Gold Studios, and along with JB and my great guy Triple E, who also is my producer on my local show, Nobody Better. And there he is. No, that's not Shadur Sanders. That would be Triple E right there. See?
Yes, sir.
I'm taking Triple E before I take Shadur Sanders in the first round. So there we go. Triple E, I love you, brother. JB, we got a couple more minutes here to wrap up. Your thoughts on what he said about the Jim Harbaugh, the way he would build a team. I know your respect for Harbaugh. One thing you and I are never going to get away from, no matter how long we're watching this game or covering it or coaching it, is physicality. Do you agree that the Chargers are a team to watch? And are you building it physical or finesse when you build it? I know where I'm going. I think I know where you're going.
Physical always. I'd get back into 21 personnel, Sean, because nobody wants to see that no more. You don't have linebackers.
They may not be able to defend it as well, right? Because they don't see it as much.
Well, look at your linebackers. Your best linebackers in the league are who? Patrick Queen, one of my former kids, 215 pounds soaking wet. You got Roquan Smith.
The dynamic, explosive guy instead of the plotter, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing. The linebackers now are cover guys because of all the RPO all the other shit. It's not. They're no longer A gap players like they used to be when we grew up.
Well, they'll
There's
get
no more
mauled.
taking on a fullback. There's no more taking on a fullback in the hole.
Right.
So, like, you got cover guys now, hash to hash, stuff like that. So it's just, it is what it is. I would be physical, though. I'd get back to 21 personnel and make you fit me in A and B gap, which you don't see anymore. You see them, first thing you see from a linebacker, Sean, is what? Quarter drop.
Run. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day, is what? Filling A gap, watching the guard pull. Yeah. So it's a different game. And let's see, it is what it is. So, we'll see what happens. But, physical. And Harbaugh's a physical guy. You saw them ran the ball 31 times against Penn State in a row the year they won a national title. He personally told you, hey, if we're going to run the football, go ahead and stop it.
And part of this show that JB talked about, he mentioned we like to teach and explain. And JB, I know you have, and I'm also going and getting, when we have the studios finally done, a big site like the telestrator that our guy Nick Saban uses on College Game Day. Well, we'll be able to, and for those who I know most listening, but I never want to assume anything. 21 personnel, folks, is when you got two backs and a tight end. That's how we count it. If he wanted 12 personnel, just opposite. He'd go back with two tight ends. And in my time of playing, that was our three wides wasn't the norm. 21 and 12 personnel, you get in and run it, right, JP? And then sometimes you go 2 and 3. It was rare that you'd go 4 wides, and that was empty, and we'd do that, and we'd call it spread right. And that was and empty wasn't exactly you'd motion him out to see if you could get movement and if you were getting man or zone. But that physical personnel. Are the Chargers in the offseason, in your mind, look ahead to 2025? Are the Chargers on the right path, JB, with the quarterback, with the way Jim's going? Will they have enough finesse? Because you got to have physical, but do they have enough finesse to keep up with the big boys in the postseason and score points?
They got to get somebody on the edge. They have 0 wideouts. So can they get DK Metcalf is what they're probably trying to get.
Now, why wouldn't you? Since Keenan Allen left, they're their best player a couple, went to Chicago last year. Metcalf goes, folks, you just know it. He's kind of asked for a trade or wants out of Seattle, apparently. Is the headache bigger than the talent? Or are you there? Which one do you like, JB? Is it worth a Harbaugh go?
Yeah, they got to have some wideouts at some point. New England, even for a 1-year borrow, they got Randy Moss, they got Chad Johnson, or at the time they got AB, Antonio Brown, even though they cut him down the season. But you got to go get that. You got to take a chance at least, right? If Belichick takes a chance, I think Harbaugh would have to take one. You got Tyler Lockett, who's the all-time leading wide receiver in Seattle Seahawks history, who's just free now. So you can get him as well. I'm sure Pete Carroll's probably interested in that guy as well, having coached them and having coached both guys. So it's going to be interesting to see who can get DK Metcalf in a trade scenario and who can get Tyler Lockett out of free agency. It's going to be interesting. But San Diego Chargers need some wideouts, Sean.
Hey, JB, what about this? I know we're getting close to wrapping up. We'll have being the show's 5 days a week. We're going to cover them all in football, basketball, baseball, golf, high. It doesn't matter. We got it covered wall to wall. I know we don't just stick to sports, as well witnessed by our first 2 shows. We gave you a lot of football today. JB, why not a guy like Davante Adams? Herbert's a player. He's a good player, and he's a big physical guy that can move. Why not try to get into the market of a free agent where you don't have to trade anything and see if you can go get a guy like that? Would you give him any run in San Diego? Or I'm a former Charger in Los Angeles.
Yeah, both those guys, big body guys who can run routes and do all those things. I think the Rams are going after Davante Adams as well. So I think Stafford's going to need another big time guy to go along with Nakua. So I think LA period is going to go after those 3 guys that we just mentioned: DK, Davante Adams, and Tyler Lockett. I think all 3 of those guys are going to be lured into coming to LA. Which team? That's to be determined.
Just so people know to answer it, we know I'm seeing the thing on the show for continuity, and JB knows this. I'm going to ask the question so we can get it in and out, and JB will comment afterward. It's what I've done forever and what I was taught, and so that's the way it's going to go. So, yes, it wasn't like we left JB sitting there with no chance to offer. We knew going in, JB was listening to the conversation. The interviews on here will be done by me, just so you guys that are paying attention know, and that's the way it goes. Not that I've been on JB's show a lot. It's his gig, and But on this show, I mean, where I do the interviews, and that's just the way the way it's always been. So we didn't forget about JB. There's nothing wrong with his mic. That's my guy. That's why I come out of it and get his comments on it. What team needs the best off season before we go and we'll come back and do it tomorrow? Who needs the best off season that's on the bubble? Is it the Cincinnati Bengals that you missed earlier? I mean, that you spoke of earlier. Are they on the bubble? Are they too far away defensively? Who's on the bubble of being the next riser, other than the obvious ones we know who they are?
Bubble team, you mean? Cowboys. Jerry Jones has to make a shit or get off the pot, as we used to say.
He didn't make a deal last year, though. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott was their best get last year. Are they? Do you think they're that close? New coach.
They got enough talent. They got talent.
You know that.
I think they can.
Marty's kid loves to run it.
They could possibly get Ashton Genty in the draft, who I like. I think that's one of the best backs. This a great running back class. So you can get a good running back in this draft, in my opinion. That's not going to cost you any money. They're going to probably re-sign Micah Parsons for what I'm hearing, around $40 million a year. Is he worth that? Not to me, but it is what it is.
Maybe why? What is it on the field? Is it the chatter? As a player, is he worth it? What is it you don't like about Parsons?
He can't fit the run game at all. He's a finesse pass rusher. He's not taking on a wrong arm and a tight end crossing the formation and taking him on in B gap. He's not. He's going up the field and he's a C and D gap player. I don't think that guy's worth $40 million. Max Crosby can do it all. He'll fit B gap. He'll wrong arm you. He'll go up and he'll play hurt. Micah, I question a lot of things as far as his mental toughness and tough skin. I don't think he has it. I wouldn't pay a guy $40 million like that. I would actually trade him.
You think Micah Parsons has played his best football yet?
It's hard to say, man. I think when he moved his position, I think hurt him more, in my opinion. I said it. I said he could be a disruptor, but is he a one-down guy? Are you paying a guy $40 million or one down?
A pass rusher that's got a record game rushing.
Look at him in the run game. Anytime he plays 49ers, anytime he plays the Rams, anytime he plays anybody physical, he gets his ass whooped. And it is what it is. It's on film. I've watched tons of film on it. He gets his ass whooped. And you can't do it for a $40 million guy. I'm paying you $40 million, Sean. You better be an ass kicker.
Well,
so I'm just saying.
I can't pay any player that's one-dimensional at his position. Is that if I got a pass protector on offense as a left tackle, and he can't block his way out of red paper bag, and he's quite frankly a pussy in the run game, I can't make him the highest paid left tackle in football. It's the same on defense. It's the same in the secondary. If I got a guy who fit the run game but can't cover as a coach, I want a corner that'll play physical as well. And at quarterback now, hell, you got to be able to read it, throw it from the pocket, and you got to be able to buy some time and extend plays. So I think $40 million. $40 million. I can't have any ifs by your name, brother. I just can't.
Yeah, I'm smelling Jerry Jones though doing something, because last year he didn't do shit. This year, today alone, he's restructured Dak Prescott and he's restructured CeeDee Lamb today.
Their two biggest contracts that are waiting for them, and they got Zach Martin's no longer there, retired. They got to make a move. And when the Cowboys were at their best, that position up front.
Their best D lineman. They signed their best D tackle interior guy, who I think has played all 17 games as in his career. They gave him a huge $80 million deal. Don't get me pronouncing his name. I don't want to screw that up. But you got so they're doing some things. I'm curious to see what they do with Micah. And what they do to go alongside of, because Brandon Cooks is cooked. They need another wideout to go along with CeeDee Lamb as well.
Their perimeter game is so average right now. And I'll tell you one thing they are going to do, and we know this, Brian Schottenheimer, when he was with the Jets as the coordinator, they were at the top of the league with the running the football when Sanchez was going. They ran it. Will they get back to that, playing that? But they've still got to make some adjustments up front too to get it done. JB, I want to dive in more on the Cowboys' overall approach. Franchise tomorrow. Obviously, we'll see more movement and talk with the NFL. And in baseball, we'll hit tomorrow. We were going to hit it today, but we got so into this franchise tag and some of these teams that are trying to see what Pete and the rest of the league is going to do. And T. Higgins is in football and basketball, guys come in, as I mentioned yesterday. I'll mention it again today. They make instant impact. Why do we not do it in baseball? Just hold that thought. Hold that thought for tomorrow, and we'll dive into that. And before I let you guys go, let's make sure you know about the day I know is the best funding for you. 250K, 100 million in the golden age. What if funding business was as simple as pushing a button? AITricera.com is where to go, or AI scans and matches your business with the best funding services instantly. AI has taken over a lot of this to make it easier on you. No waiting, no red tape, just AI-driven funding that works from $250,000 to $100 million. We have the capital to take your business to the next level. Ray Smith is the CEO of Tricera, designed this Fortune 100 system, and it's a great one to give small businesses the same advantage as major corporations. The right funding, the right terms at the right time. The golden age in America is here. The only question is, are you ready? Go to AITricera.com. You see it right there now, and secure your funding today. That's AITricera.com. That's funding that finds you. And here from the Premier Gold Studios. JB, as we wrap it up here and go on, Sam Darnold starts where next year?
Minnesota.
Aaron Rodgers starts where next year?
Pittsburgh.
Kirk Cousins starts where next year?
Vegas.
Rodgers in Pittsburgh, Cousins in Vegas, and Sam Darnold stays in Minnesota.
Yeah, my dark horse for Rodgers is Indianapolis, though.
Which would be an upgrade right now. And maybe not from the skill set or the feet or the size of the body, but just pure accuracy. You can't win. If you complete 40 or 50% of your passes, you're going to have trouble sustaining win. The dynamic talent the kid is, but he doesn't spin the ball like he throw it a long way. He can throw it through a car wash without getting it wet. He just can't hit the car wash.
Just because of the Pat McAfee, the whole thing is there. I could see this being a thing. I said it on my show a month ago. I think that's the thing that no one's talking about. I think it could happen.
And be sitting in that studio every Tuesday. Makes sense.
Yeah, especially when the Jets told him not to go on McAfee anymore. He's going to give him a shit sandwich.
All right. What we're going to do tomorrow too, JB, we talked about this. We are going to list and debate our top 5 quarterbacks in the league. And it's going to be the top 5 quarterbacks that don't have, they don't get 4 great wide receivers. The top 5 quarterbacks on good teams or bad teams. Where does it start and where does it end? And your career is on the line for this. Fair enough? We'll compare and contrast. We talked about this off the air yesterday. I like to find out who are the 5 best in the league for the next 5 years. Fair enough?
I'll beat your ass at that.
Well, why? How do you know we're not agreeing? What do you mean beat my ass? How do you know we don't agree? You already creating controversy in a fist fight? How do you know? I can tell you this: 4 of them are going to be the same, depending on where we put them. That I guarantee. There's one guy.
Why is the 5th one not going to be the same?
Because one guy you think's average, which still baffles me. One guy you think's average, and he's only got like 3 Super Bowl rings. But other than that, hey, that's why we'll probably disagree there. But I have a hunch that of the 5, we'll be on the same page in the same church pew for most of them. Great stuff today, man. Thanks to Herman Edwards. Thanks to Triple E, Laura Palmisano behind the scenes, and Craig Larson. More guests, they'll continue to flow here. And we'll try to make it easier on the buttons they have to push to get in. Herm's not a technology expert. Neither am I. JB's learned it better, and Triple E. That's why we got your young ass on here. Aside from your talented as hell, you can walk through all of it, brother, and we appreciate it. We'll see you guys tomorrow for Rumble, for Unpaved with Sean and JB, and for Triple E. And thanks to Herman Edwards. We'll do it again tomorrow right here, 2 Central. Get out there, tell your friends about it because we're coming and we ain't going away. Right? Unpaved. We'll see you guys tomorrow.